Salam alaikum alaikum sala. This is Tata Matamba. Today I'm doing a video on the book Conversations with the Dead. I want to thank all the people who obtained the book, who purchased it, and emailed me about it. Specifically, George, you asked me to do a video to elaborate a little bit more on certain key points of the Limba Senso method, the binary code, for you to be able to have a better relationship and a better communication between you and your Inkisi. I want to start off with, this is not this book, right, doesn't state that this is the right way of doing things. Each lineage, each branch of Malongo, or Palo Mayombe, Palo Mayombe, has its own way of doing things, and each household itself, it's its own kingdom and has its own way of doing things. So if you purchase the book, go conversate with your godfather to make sure there won't be any disrespect. Always follow your lineage, your tradition. So if you're in Mayombe, Briumba, obviously, Mayombe, Briumba, lo Kimbisa, lo Santo Cristo, Viaje, lo Changani, lo Regla Chamalonga, lo Kita Munankita, lo Brahma con Brahma, Briumba con Mayombe. There's so many lineages, lo Cortalima, lo Quindavela, whichever lineage, lo Sacampeño Mayombe, or Mayombe Sacampeño. There's so many lineages and they do things differently. So if you obtain the book, I'd highly advise, to sit down with your godfather and go through it and see what he approves. If it's something the same, it's fine. If you can incorporate it with what you already know, it's fine. But stick to your lineage, to your household. Now, obviously, before you start using tools such as the chamalongos, also known as iyamputos or inkobos, you have to understand that these are just tools. Your psychic abilities, your mediumship, if you're like an empath, a medium, you can also receive information, with your Inkisi. Once you start to build that relationship with your Inkisi. And real quick, once you establish that relationship, the tools will help you then. These tools will help you have a more well-rounded conversation with your Nganga, right? With your Inkisi, como el Mfumbe, with the spirit. And other Afro-Cuban traditions such as La Ocha and Ifa, they have their they have their tools that they use for divination and communications with the Orisha or with Orula and their deities and their tradition, right? Like in Obaoria, they will use el caracol, the cowrie shells, the Erindi lagoon, to communicate with his orishas and extract the advice from, those deities. Orula, right? Bawala would use el equile, el opele, and also ikins to extract, to receive the message, right, from Orula. Those traditions, those are their own traditions, and you have to respect those traditions. But you have to observe that they also use a tool, right? They use a tool, a binary code, a symbol, to extract that knowledge. The same as us Ngangas, or us Padre Nganga or Tata Nkisis, right? We use otros paleros, the paleros, right? We use tools also. But just like everything in life, if you're an electrician, if you're a mechanic, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, all professions in our society, you first have to go to school. You first have to learn the concepts before you go out there and you practice your trait, right? Your specialty, and for the community, right? To provide and give service to the community, for you to also be able to live. The same thing goes with this. You have to know the concepts first before you can go and practice. The book does not go in too deep with concepts. Most of all, it holds the practice. It holds the practice. I strongly believe that a godfather is the one who should guide you and teach you the concepts of this amazing and very extremely serious tradition. Your godfather, somebody who will guide you. That's the right way, the key to being successful in life, right? To being successful in these traditions, or in life in itself. Unfortunately, not all godfathers are capable to, handle those responsibilities. I was extremely fortunate to have an amazing godfather, and most of all, he's my father figure. I look up to him as a father. Taught me many things when I was just a young boy. Taught me many things outside the religion, morals, codes, principles, ethics, and hombría. He taught me that. He taught me, the true meanings that a man needs to have in life, outside, not just in the religion, but that. I was very fortunate, very extremely fortunate, and I wish that upon you guys also, to have a great godfather. Always maintain that relationship with your godfather. Don't do anything that would disrespect, your household. And before we get started in the book, we're gonna go ahead. At least I'm gonna give you guys one concept, right? One concept of, especially you, George, that you emailed me before conversating and casting the chamalongos and trying to communicate with your Inkisi or build that relationship. We have to understand a concept and see things right from a certain perspective. That's a concept, to see things from a certain perspective. And conversation, right? What is conversation basically? And conversation is communication between one or many things, right? One or many living things, through, right, vibration, through speech, gestures, language. But you have an agreement between those things. You have to understand that in nature itself, everything, certain symbiotic things that are symbiotic, that they coexist, that they need from each other, like the birds or the bees and the flowers and animals themselves, they communicate, right? They communicate. The same way I'm communicating with you, right? If you speak English, right, I'm just making vibration. Making a vibration, and you are hearing the vibration and then applying the idea. So the basics of communicating is to transmit an idea, right? I am transmitting an idea through a certain vibration, and if you can decode that vibration, then you will understand my idea. So if you speak English, you can be able to decode the vibration which holds the idea that I'm transmitting. Ahora, si tú hablas español y no hablas inglés, ¿ves? No vas a poder decodificar la vibración, la onda de información, y no te puedes comunicar. I said the same thing that I said in English. I said it just in Spanish. And you see, if you're non-Spanish speaking, you will not understand what I said. If you are, you can. That's what basically communication. The tools help a priest of the religion, right? Un palero, un engangulero, un nganga, ¿verdad? It helps us, see the binary code, to interpret a binary code. And there's certain agreements between you and your nkisi, el tratado. That's what we call un tratado, which is an agreement. It's agreements to communicate. Just like in society, as a societal whole, we have agreed to speak English, right? These vibrations in the English language mean these things. Us as a society, right? You went to school when you were growing up and you learned the language, right? The same thing when you conversate with the dead. This is a language. If you go to other traditions like La Ocha, they have their binary codes, or the Erindi Lagoon, and also Nifa, they have their things, their binary codes, their form of communicating with their deities. It doesn't have anything to do with us, but with Palo Mayombe. But what I'm referring to is they also use a system. It's a system. Bawalao uses a system of a binary code to communicate with Orula. Obaoriate uses a system to communicate with the Orisha. And us, El Bainganga, uses also a system, a binary code to communicate more in depth with our ancestors. Obviously, mediumship, psychic abilities all take a role in this, but to sharpen your intellect, to sharpen those forms and those roads of communicating, the tools are there for that. So once you understand this concept, that you're like, this is the binary code, and obviously the spirit is casting this, and this is the message that he's saying. It's just not out of thin air. Things are not happening out of thin air. If you have a spirit there, he is making those falls and putting things in a certain place for you to understand, to interpret. Just like in communicating, right? Just like communicating. And obviously there's different methods. In the book, it holds all that information. I didn't go in too deep in the book with it, and I can't go in really extremely deep in the book with all the ways of reading Lo Chamalongo, Lo Iyamputo, due to initiation rites and the lineage. Those are secrets. Each household has their own way of doing things, and you're gonna hear El Refrán cada como tiene su maña, and it's extremely true. The little bit that I know and the things that I was allowed to put in the book is there. It can help you. From my knowledge, there's 7 ways to read or to interpret or to communicate with your Nkisi, right, with your ancestral force, con el fundamento. There's 7 ways, and the book only holds 3 with this. It has to do with the Nkobo also, but it holds 3 forms. And George, you wanted me to go in the form of Limba Senso, the binary code, and to go a little bit more in depth with that, and that's perfectly fine. We'll go ahead and go in the book now. Let's move this out the way. So, this is for the Nkobo, how to do consultations with Nkobos. Let's go all the way. Let's go into Chamalongo part. Right? Okay, so Chamalongo. This method is a yes or no method. Many people know this knowledge. It's on YouTube, it's in many books. Most people know Biagwe Yadiadodo method, which is, Madua Kisalu, and what it means. It holds the yes or no format, but the Spirit speaks to you through that. And then we have, obviously, the next method. That was the first method. This is the second method. We see with Lo Chamalongo, which is Sensinsa, which means picture or image, to bring a picture and image. And you see through them, you can see the picture and what it carries. So it states yes, but this is why. And there's many of these. There's quite a few of those in here. And then we have the third method, right? Which is Lembasensu. And that means the power to see the binary code, right? To see the vibration, the zeros and ones, see the binary code, and it shows you how to cast it and everything. And this is what George was emailing me about, how to go a little bit more in depth with this. They are, there's quite a few of the Gengas. All of them are there. And the Spirit uses, La Dikenga, certain Dikengas, to communicate back and forth with the Bainganga, right? The specialist, the Infumo. I personally recommend first to, once you establish with your godparents, if you're able to use the book, then everything's in the first few chapters. That's speaking about communication. It gets in depth, and it speaks about that. It speaks on how to build that relationship with your Nkisi, and the right things to do and the wrong things to do. And once you start to build the relationship, you should sit in front of your Nkisi and go through these. And I'm thinking, George, I might do a video on Masa, just how we do a consultation, or if this comes out, how to see, what responded is the Mfumba, like an example, because I didn't put an example for this one. I put examples for the Nkol, and I put examples for the other ones, but I didn't put example for Lembasen, so that's probably why you asked me to elaborate a little bit more in this form of communicating with the dead, which I think I'll do a video on that, so people can, get a greater grasp of the concept of what's actually going on. I want to thank everybody who bought the book. Jennifer, you said you love the Sensinsa method, that you were looking for something like that. If somebody's watching the video and you haven't obtained the book and you're wanting to buy the book, the link is going to be in the description also. It's on Amazon. It's $49.99. It's a way just to build, right? To build. This book is a way to build what you have to sharpen your communication skills with your Nkisi. I have it in English. There is also a Spanish version. But like I said, speak to your godparent if you obtain the book before you go on and practice. And there's no right or wrong way of communicating with the dead. There's no right or wrong way. Each Infumo, right, or each person, it's his own medium or has their own way of communicating with the dead. So if this helps you, this is the little bit that I can actually, give out to a community that I feel like much needs it. And take these things serious, you know. Palo Mayombe is extremely misunderstood. Take these things seriously. They can help you in your life. This is just not used for negativity and bad things. But as long as you do things right, you're gonna be fine in Palo Mayombe. It's not like La Ocha. It's not like Ifa. I know a little bit about La Ocha. I know a little bit about Ifa, but I don't practice those traditions. I don't, because my godfather always said to me, you know, he said, in life you have to be well defined, you know, be well rounded, but be well defined. In other words, do not be a jack of all trades and master of none, right? You don't want that. I know they say that, but you don't want to be that. You want to be well rounded, but defined, you know. You're sharpened, you have a specialty, right? You're a specialist in some sense, right? I might not know a lot about Ifa, I might not know a lot about La Ocha, but I surely do know a lot about my practice. And always keep, you know, an open mind in those sense. And for all the people, you know, who say you know, that there are certain ways of doing things, or that there's a diverse, because this is what I like about Afro-Cuban, you know, tradition. These Afro-Cuban traditions, right? There's a lot of diversity. You know, there's a lot of houses, a lot of lineages, and you're always learning something new. But that does not mean that you are going to apply it to your practice. That does not mean that you have to obtain it. It's like I know how to fix a roof, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna be a carpenter and I'm gonna be fixing roof, you know, all for the rest. No, I'm specialized in a certain aspect in my life. I went to school for certain things, and this is what I'm specialized. But I also like to learn by plumbing, because one day I might need to plumb. Those, in that sense, you have to be well-rounded but well-defined, and that's, you don't want to be, you know, ignorant. You don't want to be ignorant. You want to have the knowledge, you know, and the tools that you need to be successful. The book, it can help you with that, but most of all, your godfather. Your godfather is the one who's going to help you. Your godfather is the one who's going to guide you. He's the one who is going to plant that seed and nurture it, and then make sure it grows. And then later on, you are going to plant seeds, nurture them, and see them grow. I was extremely lucky, and I wish that upon everybody who come into the tradition, that you guys have luck to meet the man that literally changed my life, you know, that to me, he's my father figure. And, you know, I wish that upon you guys. I really do. I really do. I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you, George, and all the people. It was quite a few. It was like, I answered like 82 emails. All you guys, I was able to answer all your questions. If you like the video, please subscribe for more. Share it. And if you have any questions, my email is there. Also in the description, tatamatamba@gmail.com. Thank you guys for your time.